Hello, everyone. I know it may seem like I've been gone for quite a while. Been kind of MIA, right? But there's been a lot going on at work and in my personal life, and life just gets in the way sometimes. However, I'm back because I wanted to talk with you about a gentleman's story that I ran across the other day. His name was Roy Halladay, and Roy was born to Linda and Harry, along with two sisters, Heather and Miranda, and they were raised in Arvada, Colorado. And he actually pitched for their local high school, Arvada High School, before he was drafted into the Major League Baseball, a 1995 draft. He made his debut in the major leagues in 1998, and he nearly pitched a perfect no-hitter in his second career start. Halladay was selected by the Toronto Blue Jays in the amateur draft in the first round as a 17th overall pick. So he decided to forego college and focus on playing Major League Baseball. He did have a baseball commitment to Arizona, but he let it go for the Blue Jays. So his father is Harry Leroy II. He was also a pilot for a food processing company. He actually is the one who taught Roy how to fly when Roy was a child. Now, from an early age, even though he flew planes and all that, he still had a love for baseball. He tried every position on the field up until about 14, and then they noticed that his real success came in pitching, and he actually caught the attention of some major league scouts. So Halladay grew up, got on with the Blue Jays, got married, and he married a young lady named Brandy. He and Brandy had two children, Braden and Ryan, and they lived in Tarpon Springs, Florida. And while he was a member of the Toronto Blue Jays, Halladay and his wife invited children and their families from the Hospital for Sick Children into the VIP area at Rogers Center during Blue Jays games. The remodeling of the suite was actually meant to be more kid-friendly, and Halladay even donated $100,000 a year to the Jays Care Foundation. Now, his oldest son, Braden, was invited to Baseball Canada spring training camp in 2018, which was kind of recent, where he pitched a scoreless inning in the Canadian junior team's exhibition game against the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays selected Braden in the 32nd round. Going back to Roy Halladay, he's actually a pilot with 721 hours of pilot certification with single engine and multi-engine, and I'm assuming ratings and the sports policy playing privileges for the Icon A5 plane. Now, Icon made much of the safety features built into this airplane. They put a ballistic parachute inside plane, a unique angle of attack indicator, and a blended incidence wings where they were included to reduce but not eliminate the stall risk. The wing also has vortex generators to keep the airflow stuck to the wing, which improves roll control through the stall if that happens. However, on November 17, 2017, Halladay took out his Icon A5 Founders Edition. It's an amphibious aircraft, and he took it into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, while flying over the Gulf, Halladay reached an altitude of 1,600 and 600 feet. He could descend to well under 100 feet, where he actually skimmed the water. The data shows that he was near zero GPS altitude. There were witnesses out there who said he executed at least 3 sharp pull-ups, and the last one reaching an altitude of 358 feet. They also said they saw the airplane pitch up and near inverted, but it might have rolled away before completing the loop. If this is true, I looked at the FAA data and I couldn't really tell in the data. Unfortunately, Halladay crashed his Icon going westbound towards the Gulf, and he was killed upon impact. Now, following the last pull-up, the aircraft pitched down before striking the water, and the wings, they leveled out, but they pitched down. It was about at 45 degrees. That's when the witnesses called 911. Then, also, some of the witnesses said that he was passing kind of close by some of the houses on the shore. He was at a very low altitude, and also a couple of boats that were in the area, they came out to help after the crash. Now, during the final seconds before the impact, there was an indicated airspeed of about 65 knots. The angle of attack was about 16 degrees, and the load factor was 1.9, depending on the bank angle. That would have been close. But witnesses said that the wings were level and impacted. It's possible that the airplane was in and out of a stall as the pilot was putting aggressive pitch up commands into it. But it's also possible it was stalled and just impacted the water due to altitude misjudgment. But frankly, given all of this, that was the wrong light related to aeronautical decision making, whether the airplane was stalled or not. This is a distinction without a difference. during the NTSB investigation, they didn't take that into account. So Roy Halladay's father revealed that he deemed his son to have excellent stick and rudder skills, which was, I'm not surprised at that. But while most of us are accustomed to general aviation flying, we might find these a little risky with type of maneuvers he was conducting. They are hardly crazy stupid for the well-prepared and well-trained pilot, but the maneuvers of how he was flying the day of that accident, they were close to the edge of insanity, if not beyond. He also had something similar happen 2 weeks prior to the actual accident. So the NTSB report said that Halladay flew his Icon under the Sunshine Skyway Bridge at a GPS altitude of 39 feet and a speed of 73 knots. He actually even bragged about this on social media. And he noted in his logbook that as part of the fun of seaplanes and amphibians is being able to fly low over water. And that necessarily involves flying close to obstacles when landing or taking off in a relative safe concept, right? When Icon first promoted the airplane, they circulated a very nice video showing a pair of A5s flying low and dragging their wingtips on the water. It caught righteous grease from this, and they went on and withdrew the video because everyone was complaining about the marketing ploy that they were doing. So Icon had a second to rethink after that, and then they had their first fatal accident, which involved the factory pilot who turned up a blind cove off of California and collided with terrain, killing both persons aboard. Icon tweaked its training to establish a 300-foot concept. About 300 feet is for you to bank at about 60 degrees, and 30 degrees pitch excursions are okay. Below that, the limits are 45 degrees of bank and 10 degrees of pitch, right? So this is perfectly sensible and easy to understand doctrine for anyone who's incapable of figuring it out on their own. And Halladay appeared to have ignored it. He missed it because he flew under the bridge in the way that he wasn't supposed to. So, you don't ever want to do that. But his father said he was concerned because he was abusing prescription medications, which included a whole entire cocktail of drugs like morphine, antidepressant, fluoxetine, Prozac, baclofen, hydromorphone. And even then, he had some drugs such as amphetamine that were also found. So according to the docket, he had entered substance abuse treatment at least once, though he didn't need to attend this to operate the A5. Halladay had an FAA first class medical issue about 5 months before the accident, and he reported no use of medication to the FAA, nor did he state anything about the previous substance abuse, and neither the FAA or NTSB offered any opinion on how or whether this pharmacological suit may have affected his pilot judgment. Now, getting back to the Sunshine Skyway Bridge for a moment, your grandmother could fly an airplane under this bridge without hitting it using good aeronautical decisions. Thinking of this, you know that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. Ignoring this is what ultimately led to Halladay's crash and untimely demise. Now, no amount of good airplane design, clever angle of attack indicators, ballistic parachutes, or star-resistant wings would have prevented this. That training aimed at breaking through a tendency towards its lousy judgment, and it certainly was here. One last thing I'd like to share about addiction, and I've observed, is that it is not a sign of weakness. Addiction is actually a disease, and the victims deserve compassion and often intervention. But until this is taken care of, the keys to an airplane or anything should never be given to these individuals. So Halladay and his wife Brandy appeared in a since removed promotional video for the aircraft before his death, with her stating her strong objections to him buying the airplane. So on November 7th of 2017, he died in his Icon A5 Amphibious plane, and he was only 40 years old. And the Blue Jays reorganization posthumously retired his number 32 on March 29th of that following year, with the Phillies retiring his number 34 because he also did play with them for a short stint. Halladay was announced as an inductee to the National Baseball Hall of Fame on January 22nd of 2019, and he was also elected Player of the Year's Deacon White Award in 2013, and the first elected by the BBWAA since Roberto Clemente in 1973. I hope he rests in peace, and I hope that his story is a testament to us all. Even though you have an airplane that might can do all these cool tricks and all this, it doesn't mean that you should do it. Onward and upward.